I'm excited to introduce women. Like I really like when I'm introducing women. Um, she she works with Human Rights Foundation, and she advocates for financial freedom and digital rights. The next speaker coming to the stage to talk to us about Bitcoin and human rights is a beautiful lady known as Judy Imasuen. Please welcome her to the stage. The round of applause. At the back, I'll start collecting stats. I'll start collecting stats. So please appreciate her one more time.
All right. Hi, guys. It's great to be here. My name is Judy. I work with the Human Rights Foundation. I handle the Bitcoin development operations. Yeah, my topic today is Bitcoin and human rights. And I'm going to start like this. Whenever we hear about Bitcoin, the very first thing a lot of people talk about is this, the chart. Oh, when is the price of Bitcoin going up? You know, if I buy now and I sell tomorrow, will I make profit? Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. Yeah, because that's a lot of our experiences. A lot of people think of Bitcoin and they think of this chart. They automatically want to know when they can buy at this point and sell somewhere around here and cash out a lot of money. But that's not the full story of Bitcoin. And I feel like a lot of us here present in this room know that for a fact. So one thing that we like to say is that there's more to Bitcoin than the whole number go up theory. So the whole thing about the charts going up, that's like number go up. But there's far more to Bitcoin than that. Now, over here, I have a really interesting map. This is from our tyranny tracker. If you want to take a look at this in your own time, feel free to scan this QR code here. But basically, what this map shows is countries that are democratic, countries that are hybrid authoritarian, and countries that are fully authoritarian. And since this is an African conference, I want to highlight that we're not doing very well over here. As you see, the countries that are red are fully authoritarian, and that's a majority of our continent. We have over 50 countries in this wonderful continent, and majority of us are living under fully authoritarian regimes or under hybrid authoritarian regimes, and very few countries are actually properly democratic countries. And this in itself is a problem because in countries that are under authoritarianism, finances tend to be weaponized against people in different ways. So I want you guys to remember this thing I'm about to say. Money is a shapeshifter. Now, the reason why I say that is because money can take different forms. And I feel like for a lot of us, we experience that more deeply in this continent. So money can be very good, and it can also be a tool of control. That's why I say that it's a bit of a shapeshifter. So what does it look like when it takes the form of a tool of control? We face things like bank account freezes. How many of us have heard stories of that recently? Yeah, it happens. Donation censorship. How many of us have heard of that as an example? Yeah. Asset confiscation. Are we familiar with this as well? Yeah. Currency debasement. This is something that a lot of us have been hearing about, and previous speakers mentioned. We've experienced that as well. Financial surveillance. How many of us have heard of this too? Yeah. And then exclusion from payment systems. And I feel like as Africans, this is something that we experience a lot. So I want to challenge you to think of this. Let me go back to the map over here, right? If you wanted to send money from anywhere in the continent, let's say from somewhere around here to somewhere around here, how would you do that? How many of us have a clear-cut answer except Bitcoin? Bank transfer, okay, that's a nice example. But what if the person doesn't have a bank account?
Money, Western Union.
Western Union, what if the person doesn't have ID? Nothing, right? So, but we know that as Bitcoiners, Bitcoin tends to be a solution to this. But like there are people that don't know it exists, right? So coming back to this slide of what money looks like as a tool of control, we've seen this happen a lot. And this particularly happens in countries that are marked in red and yellow, fully authoritarian regimes or hybrid authoritarian regimes. And this in itself is a major problem. So there actually is an intersection between financial freedom and human rights. So when we talk about financial freedom, we're referring to, being able to use your money the way you want to, being able to save, not being restricted in terms of the value that you're able to move across, right? And so there actually is an intersection between being able to do that and having your human rights, because financial systems are regularly weaponized against people like journalists, dissidents, pro-democracy activists, and nonprofits as well. So let's go back to what our examples of a tool of control looks like. An NGO that is fighting for human rights can have their bank accounts frozen overnight because the government doesn't like what they're saying. Or they may be prevented from receiving donations. And what does that mean? They're not able to make payroll. They're not able to pay their bills. They're not able to basically continue the work that they're doing. And what does that mean? They get pushed to silence. Regular people who are talking about things like, okay, we should be able to have free and fair elections. They may have their accounts blocked just for saying that, which on a good day is actually a very good opinion to have. It's something good, but under authoritarian regimes, they may not like that idea, and they may want to penalize you using the financial system. So finances and not having proper access to finances affects how people get to organize, how they get to support causes and express dissent, and how they get to survive. So with the survival aspect, we really see that with the currency debasement example. For example, governments that are authoritarian or hybrid authoritarian, they come up with different policies that trap people under inflationary regimes, which basically wipes out your entire savings that you worked for so many years. But then, coming back to the theory of money being a shapeshifter, let's look at what money looks like as a tool for freedom. You're able to receive donations. You're able to pay your staff. You're able to move value across borders. You're able to preserve your savings and avoid censorship. So more or less, it's an opposite of what happens when it is used as a tool of control. So imagine, because you said something that was not necessarily bad, let's say, for example, we have to have free and fair elections, for instance, all of a sudden, and let's say you're a businessman, right, or businesswoman, you're not able to access your bank account. What does that mean? What does that translate for you? You're not able to make payroll. You're not able to pay your bills. That is a very embarrassing situation. It subjects people to that type of disgraceful, how will I put it? What's the word? Like a disgraceful turn of events for you. It's really embarrassing when you're not able to do those type of stuff. So like I said earlier, it pushes you to being, I think it's a better idea if I kept quiet. And what happens? Those type of situations stay. And it keeps going on and on and on. But money can turn into a tool for freedom, right? And so we believe that Bitcoin is actually freedom money and can actually be used to solve human rights issues. So I'm going to go back to the previous slide where I talked about it being used as a tool of control. Bitcoin actually solves a lot of these problems, doesn't it? Yeah? So what does that mean? Like I said, Bitcoin can be used as a tool for freedom. So it's basically freedom money. It solves all of these issues that you face. So it shapeshifts. And so in that type of situation, Bitcoin becomes a very important lifeline because it's financial infrastructure that cannot be censored, and that in areas where financial systems are used as tools of control, Bitcoin provides a means by which people are able to transact, they're able to peacefully organize and peacefully resist certain things. Now, I like examples, right? Real life examples. So just to exemplify why, make it more real to people, right? These are actual headlines from newspapers where people are talking about Bitcoin, the positive sides of Bitcoin. When people get caught up with the whole chart situation, and you see a headline like this where it says, Bitcoin saved my family, most times you'll be thinking, how? Isn't it a tool of speculation? I'm into Bitcoin to get rich, right? But people who have real problems in terms of not being able to send money around or not being able to help their loved ones or support their organizations, it's more than a buzzword for them. it solves a critical problem. And so we see headlines like this where people say, Bitcoin saved my family. So if you go down here, they say borderless money is more than a buzzword when you live in a collapsing economy and collapsing dictatorship. And this is a real life example. Okay, let's say this is not enough. We have another one. This time it's not just any ordinary person, it's a Nobel Peace Prize winner that is also saying that Bitcoin is freedom money. So it has moved on from something that is just cool for the technicalities to something that actually provides significant value in human rights situations. Okay, let's say this headline's not enough. I have another one for you. Coming back to the continent, how Bitcoin powered the largest Nigerian protests in a generation. So I live in Nigeria, I'm from Nigeria. You must have heard of the NSARS protest at some point. Yeah, so when the financial system was again used against them, people resorted to Bitcoin and they found value in it. And this article was written as far back as 2022. That was 4 years ago. But it still holds true today, right? That Bitcoin is able to solve major problems. Let's say this example is not enough. I have another one. A lot of people have talked about Tando. This is an example where Tando helped out. And this headline says, when Tanzania's internet went dark, Bitcoin bridged a family across the border. So earlier I gave an example. If you wanted to send money from one part of Africa to another, how would you do it? Oken, my guy, gave fantastic examples, but they don't solve the problem fully, right? But in this type of situation, with this, like the story that this headline was talking about, it mentions Tando and talks about how it was used to solve a problem. This is an African solution. And this was a crisis situation, right? In the continent, we were able to recognize that, yeah, Bitcoin is something that can solve these type of problems because these problems tend to be very real for us because of the kind of regimes we live under. And now let's go to the other side of the world and look at our Asian counterparts, right? Over here, it says how Bitcoin is used to raise funds in Myanmar for earthquake relief. So this is an example of Bitcoin being used in a humanitarian crisis, right? I don't know how many of us know so much about what's going on in Myanmar, but they're not doing too well, right? And governmentally. And so they also had an issue with an earthquake, and Bitcoin was used as a way of raising funds for them. So as Africans here, I want us to challenge ourselves again. Let's think, if we wanted to help our counterparts in Myanmar, how would we have done that? Bitcoin, fantastic. I see someone's paying attention. That's nice to know. So yeah, I have 1 more minute. Awesome. So yes, Bitcoin is actually used as a tool for human rights in these type of situations. And so Bitcoin is a tool for freedom. So when you think about money shape-shifting, right, into different forms, and you think about it shape-shifting into a tool of control, I want all of us to remember that Bitcoin can actually be used as a tool for freedom. It's beyond all of the number go up theory. Right now, we're looking at the concept, freedom go up. And I thank you very much for taking time to listen to me. If you want to learn more about some of the things that we have going on in HRF, please feel free to scan any of these QR codes. We have our Financial Freedom Report, which is a wonderful report. I encourage all of you to read it. If you are into activism or you know some activists and you want them to learn more about how Bitcoin can be used by nonprofits, feel free to direct them to our program, our webinars. And if you're a builder in this space and you need support, feel free to scan this QR code for the Bitcoin Development Fund. Thank you.
Listen. Okay. Thank you so much, Judy. 1 more round of applause for Judy. I think the HRF is doing wonderful work when it comes to freedom tech and, of course, freedom money.